Today we're going to talk about the phenomenon and the construct of the white void in relation to liminal spaces. Now, many people talk about the dark void, talk about this dark void, this black void, more often than this white void. Most people don't talk about a white void. In out-of-body experiences, they mention a dark or black void. Well, there is a white void in relation with the dark black void. Now, this white void is a liminal space, so it's an in-between transitional space between the construct of reality, between where the simulations of reality are created. And the simulation mirage, Maya, overlay is constructed. Now, when we have this Maya, this mirage of a simulation overlay that starts to materialize, the more you're conscious of that, it becomes greater in physicality. That the more you're conscious of this illusionary overlay of a Maya, a mirage, the more you're conscious of this, the more it becomes concrete in physicality. Because of your consciousness, it starts to become a real thing where you're interacting with what is simply a overlay, a mirage overlay, a illusion, a painting that's constructed before your eyes. Well, you have not really left or moved anywhere. You simply have a different construct to interact with based on your consciousness of that construct in this liminal space, in this white void. Now, we see this white void in many different pivotal and high acclaimed movies, such as Lucy, such as The Matrix, and many other movies. Now, firstly, we're going to mention the movie of Lucy. In the ending of the movie of Lucy, we see that when she has reached her peak pinnacle stage of pure consciousness, of 100% usage of her mind, you see her in this white room, and she started to develop a black substance around her body. It started to seep throughout her body, creeping up to her legs, into her thighs, into her torso. This was that dark void, but she was within a white void. And within this white void, she was sitting. And this white void was able to send her information about all times and space, past, present, and future, all happening at the same time. She was able to view this information and go to these time, places, and events without even moving. So there was no difference in time, locality, and space. It was a mirage overlay that all exists at the same time, that can be accessed regardless of where you're at if you're in this white void. So she was sitting within the white void and was able to translate and transport and travel to different times and dimensions and epochs of time as a mirage overlay before her eyes. This was information being sent to her being and operating within the white void as the black void. Because we see at the end where she started to be absorbed within the black void, to become this black void. And when she was completely covered with the black void, this black substance, she then became the white void within the black void. And as the white void does, it sends out information. And she sent out the information in the form of a USB drive, you see. So she was once operating as the black void within the white void, where the white void sends out information and she receives that information causes a construct to to materialize before her eyes. And at the end, as she started to absorb within the black void, she became the white void within the black void and sent out information. She was sending out information versus receiving information. The information she sent out was the USB, the information that was given to the other people. She achieved pure pure consciousness. She achieved 100% usage of her brain, and that she was sitting on the seat and able to transverse and transport and travel to any part of the universe, space, and time. That the white void was sending information of all timelines to her, and she was able to materialize these timelines from the information and experience that, all sitting in the same place. So there was no distance, there's no A and B, there's no XYZ. It was all a construct with frequencies dimensions sent out to her to cause to materialize. And the more that her consciousness in tune to this frequency, the more it became a physical reality to experience. Another movie that was very pivotal for this white void we see here in the movie of The Matrix, where Neo and Morpheus entered into a white room. There is no space in this white room. There's no walls. There's no limits. It's limitless. And Morpheus refers to this white void, this white room, as the construct. So within this white void, they're able to cause all things to manifest. It causes guns to manifest. Anything that the engineer, the computer engineer, is able to input into the matrix system, it materializes. So that engineer outside of the matrix is able to send information into the computer simulation and cause certain artifacts, certain materials to materialize within that construct, within the white void. So the white void, as I mentioned at the beginning, is this in-between place. It's an in-between place between different simulated realities. Now, I bring this up is also because I have experienced many years ago. In a previous video, I spoke about this experience in which I was meditating on a couch. I was meditating on my couch, and all of a sudden, the shifting consciousness in which I was in one moment meditating on the couch. In the next moment, I was on a plane, where the plane was getting ready to depart. Now, this was not a dream. This was not a daydream. This was not something I imagined, because in the plane where I found myself in, I was wondering how I got there. I remembered that I was just sitting on my couch, and now I'm sitting in a plane that's getting ready to depart. So this was a physical transportation. And was once sitting on the couch, now I'm sitting on a plane getting ready to depart. Now I started to become uneasy because I didn't know how I was going to get back. I was in a plane heading somewhere I did not know. So what happened is that some woman sat next to me and put her hand on my hand, and I started to turn inward. And as I turned inward, I opened my eyes where I was sitting on the couch. And instead of sitting in the room that I was in, all around me was white. Not bright light, but a white room without limits. So I was in this white void. And in a couple seconds, more or less, my room started to materialize around me. So the same place I was sitting in my couch in one state, I was also sitting at the same time in a plane. So that makes you wonder, is there really a difference in locality? Is there really difference in states, but just frequencies that you tune into and different mirage overlays on which your consciousness tunes to and make it more physical to interact with? So that was my first experience of the white void, in which this white void is the in-between place between different constructs and simulated realities that we shift and tune our consciousness to experience. So this white void operates as a transportation device. Now, I understand that this white void can be used alongside with the black void. Because we see here with Matrix and the Neo, is when Neo started to realize that he didn't have to take the information that the Matrix system was sending to him. That he can construct his own reality. That he was at first operating as the dark void within the white void, receiving the information and that information constructing a reality around him. So he was subject to the information being sent to by and in the white void. But when he started to wake up and realize that he has power over this simulation and can operate now as the white void within the dark void, and he is the one that's sending out information to cause the dark void to construct the reality that he wants around him, so he can tell and cause bullets to stop in the air. He can change his reality around it because he is now the white void within the dark void. It sends out information for the dark void to construct his reality, his internal reality around him. Most humanity has a subjective point of view in which they are living within a similar reality as they are the dark void within this white void, instead of being the white void within the dark void. And they are the one that are sending out the information to construct the reality instead of a pre-programmed data system sending out information conveniently to them, so that the reality that is constructed around them in a visual display, this overlay of a mirage, is the life that they live in, and they feel imprisoned by that. But when you operate as the white void within the dark void, you're able to send out information and cause the dark void to construct your own inner reality around you, so that the construct and simulation starts to bend and to twist to your internal reality. So you can say to the system, no, that these bullets are not going to pass. You can say to the system and the simulation, no, that these sentinels are not going to fly. They're not going to impose upon my area. When you operate as the white void within the dark void, we understand that God, he wraps himself in darkness, but he is the one that dwells in inapproachable light. So God is the white void within the dark void. And I say that again. God is the white void within the dark void, who's constructing and sending out information for all the reality to be constructed to his inner reality as decreed. So true manifestation comes from being the white void within the dark void. And instead of receiving information, you're the one that's sending out information and constructing reality based on your eternal state. You see. So these are liminal spaces. The white void is liminal spaces. The liminal spaces is a transitional in between place, between alternate realities, between the simulated realities, between the constructs of realities, in which you're able to operate as the white void within the dark void. So until you start to take back and to control upon reality, you are the one receiving information. And by automatically, your biological structure is creating a reality around you based on the information being sent to you. But in order to be proactive, you have to be the white void that's sending information and constructing reality of the dark void around you, so that that which is internal becomes that which is external. Hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.